All right, so if you hadn't looked closely at your handout and the order, we're moving things around a little bit today. We're on the move, so a lot of things may shift every now and then. We're going to do communion at the end of our service today, kind of as the conclusion. And that'll make more sense after the sermon and talk about that. But for now, we're going to do our meet and greet time. So take a minute, get some more coffee, say hi to somebody you haven't seen yet today, process the fact that communion's there and we're not taking it yet if you need to. But we'll come back together. We'll do the kids' message in just a little bit until we send them over to their spot. So take a few minutes.
Sorry to interrupt all the great conversation. It's good to see all of your beautiful faces out there today. What a good crew. What a rowdy crew. We love to see it. All right. Hi. Hello, welcome. It is good to see all of you guys. As I said, I'm going to highlight a few things in the handout, and then I'm going to get out of your hair. Just to kind of remind you of some of the changes, we're going to have a brief message for the kiddos right after this. So kids, you guys can come up here and listen to hear what Mr. Chris has to say. We're very excited to start our Dollars for Others today, and Dan's going to be up later to talk about that. We're calling it Do, Dollars for Others, so like go, do. It's very exciting. We're pumped. We are going to be meeting at Orchard Park here for the next 3 Sundays. Oh, okay. Counting today. For the next 2 Sundays, and then we're going to play it by ear. We're just going to be nomadic. Continue to be. We would like you to start paying attention to which place you like better. Kiwanis Park, which is where we met last week, or here. So we will take all constructive input for that as we kind of decide which one we can kind of like focus our efforts on. We will be meeting at Buffalo Park again on Wednesday. Bring a brown baguette, bring a kid or someone that wants to play on the playground. Or if you just want to sit and chat, then come and do that. Bring a lawn chair, bring some food. I see here that today is the 28th, and that is Melissa's birthday. Happy birthday, Melissa. You with your cute hair. So we're really happy that you're here celebrating the day of your birth with us. Let's see. I think that's probably about it from me. So happy Sunday. Love you guys.
All right, so if kids want to head up here. Oh, that mic's still on. Sorry. Kids coming up, we'll have our little message before you get to go over to quiet pray round. Hopefully I'm still on the camera. We'll see. Oh, you want to sit up here? Oh, do you have a message for us today? All right, have a seat, guys. Let's just have a seat. Yeah, come on up here. All right. Welcome, everybody. All right, well, today we're talking about a story where Jesus fed 5,000 people. Anybody heard this story before, maybe? All right, so we've got a little storybook version of it today. You see that's Jesus and his disciples, and there's all the people that he was able to feed. And so what I want us to do, do you have a question? Yes.
Well, it's not a question.
Oh.
Nobody ever knew the actual amount of the people.
Yeah, it says 5,000 men plus women and children. So yeah, it could be a lot more. Uh-huh.
That is at Kansas City.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to our story. And what I want to do through the story is I want you guys to think about how would it feel, right? Put yourself in the shoes of all the different characters in the story and think, how would you feel when this happened or that happened? So, start here. It says, Jesus and his disciples were tired and hungry. They left in a boat for a quiet place where they could rest and eat. But a crowd saw them leave and hurried to the place where Jesus was going. The crowd got there first. Okay, so how do you think Jesus and his friends felt, right, when they're trying to get a break and then they see a whole bunch of people that need help? You feel tired. So you're tired and somebody asks you to do something. How do you feel about that? A little annoyed? Yeah? I know whenever I sit down and then some small person wants something. Feel hungry, yeah. They were probably hungry too. And we're going to see that becomes even more of a problem. All right. And so then it says, Jesus got out of the boat and looked at the people with love. They were like sheep without a shepherd, and began to teach them many things and heal them. That evening, Jesus' disciples said, "Send the crowds away so they can buy food to feed themselves." Okay, so how do you think the crowds felt, right? They've been there all day, talking with Jesus, getting taken care of. Hot, yeah, it probably was pretty hot out there. I think what you said before, Clementine, was right. They're hungry. Yeah, right. All day, and you're out. They don't have McDonald's or Taco Bell to stop at. They don't really have any options. Okay, so Jesus' disciples said, "Send the crowds away so they can buy food for themselves." And Jesus said, "You feed them." Okay, so how do you think the disciples felt when Jesus said, "All right, you feed 10,000 people"? What do you think?
I would feel mad.
A little mad? Like, come on, Jesus. Well, I don't have food for all them. Other thoughts? That's a lot of people, right? Maybe overwhelmed. That's kind of a big word, but right, overwhelmed when there's just too much. I can't do it all. Well, it says here, the disciples were surprised. How could they possibly feed a crowd of 5,000 people who cost so much money? Jesus said, "Go and see how much bread there is." The disciples found 5 small loaves and 2 fish. All right, so probably still a little bit nervous, not sure what to do. But Jesus told the disciples to have the people sit down in groups of 50 and 100. He took the bread and the fish and looked up to heaven and blessed the food. The disciples passed it out, and everyone ate until they were full. The disciples even gathered 12 baskets of leftovers. So how do you think the crowd felt when somehow Jesus was able to feed all of them? Yeah, excited, happy, impressed. All right, that's pretty impressive. Really excited, yeah. And maybe most importantly, so Jesus' disciples, right? They're confused, and then they're surprised, and maybe a little nervous or upset. How do you think they felt after this happened, after Jesus was able to feed everyone? Yeah. They felt happy. Yeah. Felt relieved. Yeah, okay, we were able to do this. Really happy. Yeah, one's special, and he can take care of us. And so part of what this story is about is how we pay attention to what people need and then figure out what we can do to help. And sometimes it may be a little scary or overwhelming, or we don't know what to do, but we trust that God is going to be with us no matter what. All right. Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts, guys. You can head over there and do your quiet time. And we'll move on to our next song before the sermon. Oh, there it was. There we go. All right. Break thou the bread of life, dear Lord, to me. As thou didst break the loaves beside the sea, within the sacred page I seek thee, Lord. My spirit pants for thee, O living word. Bless thou the truth, dear Lord, summer break, so pray for all the parents at home. And I know one of Anna Jane's favorite summertime questions that she hears a lot is, what do we have to eat? Followed by, second favorite question would be, Betsy's looking at me, what are we going to do today? That's another favorite. And usually when that question is asked, it's applied to, we're talking about snacks, not meals. Meals are often viewed with suspicion. And I realize questions about having food is very real for many. And we're trying to give tiny mouths perspective on, when we actually do have plenty, you're not starving. All right, there's that frustration of hearing people say there's nothing to eat when we have a fairly full fridge. That's one of the many reasons that I know in our household sometimes we feel a bit drained. But there's a lot of reasons. How many days has the weight of the world recently just been so much that even doing a simple task like figuring out what to have for dinner feels impossible? Not to mention, trying to do something to alleviate all that heaviness, that weight. Well, I actually think that Jesus' most famous miracle gives insight into how we care and how we act in those moments. I know we already heard a version of it, but I'm going to read again from Matthew 14, starting in verse 13. It says, when Jesus heard about the death of John the Baptist, he withdrew in a boat to a deserted place by himself. But when the crowds learned this, they followed him on foot from the cities. When Jesus arrived and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed those who were sick. That evening, his disciples came to him and said, this is an isolated place and it's getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go into the villages and buy food for themselves. Jesus said to them, there's no need to send them away. You give them something to eat. They replied, we have nothing here except 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. He said, bring them here to me. He ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass, and taking the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven, gave thanks for and broke the loaves, and gave them to his disciples. Then the disciples gave them to the crowds. Everyone ate until they were full, and they filled 12 baskets with the leftovers. About 5,000 men, plus women and children, had eaten. So if we consider what Jesus was going through before he feeds the multitudes, we might have a different reason for wondering how he could do it. All right, we'll talk about the challenge of miracle stories in a minute. But I want us to think about, where was Jesus at emotionally when he does one of his greatest miracles? Now, we'd probably assume that, this is such a big deal. He'd been planning this momentous miracle for just the right time, right? Okay, once I get about 5,000 followers, then I'm going to take them out into the wilderness, and we'll stay past dinner, and then I'm going to feed them. And then everyone will believe. That'll get their attention. That's not what happened. Jesus heals and serves while he's in grief. Right? So when he had heard about the death of John the Baptist, he was trying to withdraw to a deserted place by himself. His cousin, his mentor, has just been murdered by corrupt, unjust authorities. And so Jesus is trying to get away and process this loss. And the last conversation that he had had with John was John asking, what are you going to do about getting me out of this? And now he's dead. So you can understand why Jesus maybe didn't want to be around people right then. And yet they find him. And what does Jesus do when he sees the crowds? He has compassion. And he heals. This question, I feel like we've been talking about it a lot, of does grief or uncertainty or anger, does it make you closed off, or does it make you open up? Does it cause you to reach out your hand for help, or maybe even to help someone else, or does it make you want to keep it in? Our hope is that when we experience those difficult emotions, that it causes us to reach out, that it inspires empathy, recognizing that my suffering is connected to the suffering of everyone else. And so we can start with, where are you at today? Where are you at this week? Maybe you're feeling, I've got so much energy and this desire to help, and I have all these things I want to do. but maybe you're grieving like Jesus. Or maybe it's a bit of both. I think for me it depends on the hour-to-hour basis, whether I feel like, man, there's so much good that's happening and I can be a part of it and inspire some of that, or I think I'm done. I'm just going to quit now and stay in bed forever. Back and forth. Now, I do want to say that burnout and compassion fatigue, those are real. If you never take time for yourself, you will not have enough to give others. And especially if you want to continue caring for your whole life. Right? It seems like Jesus had a 3-year ministry, and so if you want to go longer than that, you really have to care for your heart and your soul and your mind. And Jesus does eventually get his quiet time after this story. And so he knew how important it was. Because you can't give what you don't have. And so we need to find ways to restore our own compassion and our connection to the source of love. So spiritual practices like solitude and silence and even Sabbath, they're necessary to care for our souls so that we can care for other hurting souls. But when we tuned in to the gifts that we've been given, whether they're tangible or intangible, what can we do with them? All right, when we look to the needs around us, it so often seems overwhelming. So how does Jesus respond to our concerns about how much really is needed? All right, transforming a few loaves into a feast comes after Jesus has transformed his own feelings into compassion for others. But to do so requires transforming his followers' expectations too. Now, I've gone back and forth on this, but I feel I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that the disciples were coming from a place of compassion when they suggest sending the crowds away so that they can go and get some food. Right? Like, hey, Jesus, I don't know if you noticed, it's getting kind of late. These people need to eat. Did you forget? We want to take care of them, right? They are naming a need after paying attention to what's going on around them. That's something that we've talked about is something we want to continue to do, and we'll talk about a way we're doing that in a little bit. And so their hearts are in the right place, and then Jesus disagrees with their solution. Right? That's always hard when you feel like you're trying to do best for people, and someone's like, you can do better than that. Jesus is challenging them, though, to remain in community and trust that the needs will still be met. And so what needs to really be transformed is their perspective on how much they have. So I think the way that they respond to Jesus is very telling. We have nothing here except 5 loaves and 2 fish. I mean, technically the phrase, we have nothing except, doesn't even make sense. Either you have nothing or you don't, except I think we all understand that on an emotional level. Right? There's a big difference between saying we've got nothing or we've got something. That something may be small, it may just be a start, but what's your perspective? We have nothing, I think, often comes from that place of grief or feeling drained or feeling empty. God doesn't need you to bring an abundance or find the perfect solution to all of the world's problems, although if you do, let me know, see what we can do about it. You don't need to do all of that. You just need to do something, bring something. Your unique something that only you can offer. Your something may feel more tired or anxious or uncertain or drained than you'd like, but it's not nothing. You are not nothing. I mean, if you're here, that is not nothing. Just the gift of your presence. If you offer that, see what happens. Just keep showing up, even if it's just to be supported. One of the most powerful things to me is when people have come here on a Sunday or a Wednesday or something else, be like, I barely made it, and I'm not doing great, but I'm here. That's enough. Who knows, maybe even in those moments you'll be filled with the same compassion that motivated Christ in his weakness. I can't make promises. You know yourself and sometimes what you need. But I also know the Spirit who moves beyond what we sometimes understand or expect. I do really briefly want to talk about another mindset change that hopefully can let the Spirit move us forward, and talk about this idea of the scarcity mindset, but avoiding judgment in that. It's something we talked about a couple weeks ago, this idea of, do you look at what you have with scarcity and not enough, or abundance and seeing more? And when we talked about that, there were some people who said, well, that can feel a little judgmental, right? That it's like, okay, so not only do I not have enough, I feel guilty that I feel that way. And that's not the intent, but we want to recognize that impact and say a little bit about that. And I was doing some more research on the scarcity mindset, what it does to the mind, and how it kind of creates this tunnel vision where when you really are in need and lacking basic necessities, that is all that you can see. In the short term, it's good because people can focus on getting what they need if it's really an actual need, but it's hard to actually see anything else. And according to one quote that I find, it actually changes how people's brains work if you live in that state for a long time. It says it's not that poor people focus on immediate needs because that's all they want to think about. It's all they can think about. Scarcity captures the mind. And so we don't want to judge people that are in that state and feel stuck and are focused on what they need. No one should feel judged for that. And so, if we don't have Jesus' miraculous ability, what can we do with what we do have? Our hope is that the opportunity that we're starting today inspires more generous hearts. Right, this is why, to me, miracle stories are always hard, especially to preach them. Right, do what Jesus did, but without his miraculous power. Right? If we all had the ability to do exactly what he did, and I could send you out to do that, man, that would be amazing. But I want to think about, okay, what are these miracles actually doing? Some people think they were just to prove that he was the Son of God, which there's something to that, but plenty of other people in the Scripture, and it seems like in other sources, seem to have some sort of power like that. Do with that what you will. But maybe it's best if instead of thinking about miracles as proof, we think of them as a preview. This is what it looks like when God's administration arrives. We've been talking about that idea of the promised land or utopia or the kingdom. Right? This is what it's meant to look like. And Jesus was giving previews of it. It looks like everyone having enough to eat. It looks like healing being freely available. It looks like no one being told that they are excluded from God's love or from community because of who they are. Maybe Jesus needed this dramatic power because he was only one person. We are now part of a movement that can do even more if we work together for the same priorities. Like I said, you can't give what you don't have, but sometimes we have more than we might think, especially when we start thinking in terms of communities helping communities instead of just individuals helping individuals. Jesus challenged his disciples, it's the same for us. You, give them something. Something, not everything. You ever notice that Jesus doesn't actually distribute the bread and the fish? It says, then the disciples gave the bread and the fish to the crowds, and everyone ate until they were full. It may seem like a minor thing in this story, but I think it points to a bigger truth that as inefficient as it might seem, God is not choosing the most direct path to giving. God gives through you, through us. It's the only way that God seems to want to work, to bring in weak, inconsistent human people in this project of grace. God doesn't just act for, God is acting with, so that we can learn the same solidarity. And our church community is in a different place now than it was a couple months ago. And so we want to be in the process. We're thinking and praying about how to use the gifts that we have inherited. And so we're planning a dialogue next month on July 19th. I hope you will be here for that as we think about, okay, what can we do with the funds from the building sale? And part of that is not just, okay, what do we do with it, but why are we doing anything at all? You start with the why before the what. And so we're thinking also about who we are, who we want to be, how our action can be connected to our mission. But we do have a what to start today. As we're getting into this new season, we wanted to come up with some project that could kind of kickstart us and get our imaginations working, get our eyes looking for the needs that are around. And so Dan's going to come up again and talk about our Do for Others project that we're kicking off.
As I've thought about this project, I've gotten more and more excited because it's going to give us, it just gives us an opportunity to broaden our horizons a little bit. And that may sound kind of strange, but the truth is, I think we kind of get caught up in our own lives and the things that are going on, and we tend to forget about the people that are around us until we intentionally, until we really pay attention to what's happening. And so that's really what this is all about, is to help us as individuals, us as a group, begin or continue focusing on those that are around us. So the green sheet that you've got in front of you is just like the white sheet that you got last week, except this one has a QR code on it. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But I want to run very quickly through what the focus of this whole thing is. So each family unit that wants to participate will receive an envelope this morning that has $100 in it. And it's in 20s so that you can use it for one thing or you can use it for multiple things. Or you can combine with someone else and double the impact, whatever it happens to be. But what we're asking you to do is to pay attention for people around you that you believe have some particular need. It might not be a mortgage payment, okay? It might not be a car payment. It might be putting 2 gallons of gas in somebody's car. It's $20 is only going to put about, 4 gallons. How's that? The price has come down a little bit. But we're asking you to think about people that you come in contact with on a daily basis. Maybe it's in the line at the grocery store. Maybe it's when you're having your nails done or your hair done or whatever it happens to be, just as you're out and about. Think about the people that you come in contact with that might have some needs. Please pay attention when you offer them some help or give them some help to their reaction, their emotional and their physical reaction. You may encounter some folks, by the way, when you offer to help, who say, "Oh, no, I don't need anything." Just a little hint. Take it anyway. Please. It would be a blessing to me if you would take it and use it for whatever you need. Or I guess what I'm saying is a lot of people have a pride that says, I don't need any help from anybody else, and I'm less than if I take it. We don't want people to feel that way. So maybe we offer for them to bless somebody else if that's what they want. But just pay attention to those responses. Also, and maybe this is even more important, pay attention to what you feel, what you learn as you're reaching out to other people, to people that maybe you normally wouldn't spend any time with or talk to or think about. And then be ready to share particularly your internal response with the rest of us, beginning on July 19th. Be respectful as you offer this. Be sure and preserve their dignity. And I guess often when we offer this kind of thing, we think, oh, I need to use all of it in one place. No, we broke it into $20 bills on purpose, okay? Number one, hundreds are hard to get rid of, okay? Well, yeah, they're hard to get rid of. It's not hard to get rid of $100. It's hard to get rid of $100 bills. But that makes it easier to break it up into multiple people that we're helping instead of just one. But if it's just one, that's great too, all right? So on this green sheet, right down here in the corner is a QR code. As you approach July 19th, we'd like for you to click on that QR code and respond to the questions that are there. We don't have them in front of us, do we? But the bottom line is, it's going to guide you through those things that we want you to pay attention to. But we want you to do it after you have shared, okay? After you've shared this money, then you click on the QR code and you begin responding. At some point after the 19th, we may ask you to actually come and share with us what really, the whole story of what happened, okay? Is that scary? I hope not. We'll put a chair up here so you can just sit. And but you see, the whole point is we want to bless others. It's dollars for others. I could use $100, right? Well, yeah. Scarcity versus abundance? I don't know. Sharing the love of God through physical blessings. Jesus showed us that in his feeding of the thousands, even though he took a kid's lunch, okay? He shared a kid's lunch with other people. And now we're going to share the proceeds from the sale of our building with other folks to help them see the love of God. So I think at the end of the service, okay, are you going to stay right there? Or are you going to move? Okay, Gary is going to be back by the exit door, and he's got an envelope marked for each one of you. If you want to participate, we're not going to force you, okay? But if you want to participate, please take an envelope. If you don't want to, just say thanks. I really need to work on something else right now. But take an envelope and then go with God as you bless others. Thanks.
I think to me a lot of this is just recognizing it's all a gift, right? I didn't choose to be born. That was a gift that was given to me. I didn't choose to wake up today. I mean, my alarm chose that for me, I guess. But today is a gift. And our hope is that the more that we see that, the more we recognize that everything good that we have is not things that we produced, but are gifts that we have received. We hold that with open hands so that we can continue to be people who give those gifts just as we've received. So let me pray, and then we'll have a song and move towards our communion as we close. God, we thank you for the gifts that we have, the gift of today, of the world around us, of the food that we will hopefully enjoy today, the love that we receive in this place and in other places. We are thankful that you are gracious and giving, that you give regardless. And so help us to be people that are inspired to give in the same way. No matter what we feel that we are lacking, help us to see what we do have, to know that the smallest gift, the smallest kind word, the smallest act of love is bigger than we can ever imagine. This is our prayer through Jesus. Amen.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich, because of what the Lord has done for us. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich, because of what the Lord has done for us. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks.
So I think Jesus feeding the crowd shows us how we receive and respond to those gifts. And that's why we're closing with communion today as a response to hearing from God's Word. And I also like the idea of centering on a communal experience at the end, to focus on us instead of just me, even though I'm up here talking again, I know. And one of the interesting things is that if you go to the Lord's Supper account in the Gospel of Matthew, it uses a lot of the exact same language that we saw in this miracle. I think we're meant to connect them a little bit. Because back in chapter 14, in this miracle, it talks about Jesus looking up to heaven, giving thanks, breaking the loaves. Give thanks, break, and gave. So there's 4 actions, right? He took, he thanked, he broke, and gave. I think that shows us the way that we go forward with all of the gifts. The first we take, not greedily grabbing for whatever we can get, but that we receive gifts and offerings from others. As Dan talked about, sometimes that's hard. How good are you at accepting gifts? I thought, oh, you shouldn't have done that, or okay, well, I owe you. No, just take it as a gift. We give thanks. We acknowledge, as I said, that all good is from a greater source. Or in some versions, we bless. Jesus blesses the bread, which is not adding some magic extra thing to it. It's just recognizing the sacredness of everything that God has made. And then we break, right? We break it open for others. Staying closed isn't helpful, and often the way that we most often end up helping is through our own brokenness. And then finally we give. We receive so that we can share. We receive from another, even if God is the ultimate source. And so that's what we're going to do as we take communion today. I want you to share at your tables, but I also want not just to share the bread and the cup, but I want you to share with your table just something that you are thankful for today. What is something that has given you hope, given you inspiration? Share those things as we share together. Go ahead.
Maybe in a couple of weeks, that's what we'll do, is just share. We'll see. I hope you heard some really moving, encouraging things from the people around you, of the things that have impacted them that they're thankful for. Gary, did you have something? Okay. I'd like for you to join me in the blessing as we close. Every generous act of giving and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father. So as God's children, let us also give generously to ourselves, of ourselves. Let's just stick around and have some snacks and some conversation with us. And don't forget, see Gary and Susan. Oh, that'll be good. That'll be good. Once again, it's one envelope per family unit. So I know some of you live with your kids. That's 2 family units, okay, etc. So don't be stingy.
All right, so help yourself to the snacks, and then we'll have class time in just a little bit. We're going to divide things off, and so the 2 kids' classes will be over here at separate tables. Adults will be on this side. But, yeah, get your snacks and get your money.